Okay, there are many different ways to overcome resistance to change. Can be through communications, through participations. That means employees are asked to participate in the decision making and so on. Through building support and commitment, through develop positive relationship by implementing changes fairly, and can be through manipulations and cooptations. Can be through selecting people who accept change, or can be by force or coercions. So we're going to go one by one. So 8 tactics that can help change agent to deal with resistance to change. First one, resistance to change can be reduced through communications or through communicating to help employees see the logic of change. So by persuading employees what is kind of the logic of change, what are the benefit of change, will actually can improve or can persuade employees to overcome the resistance to change. So if employees receive the full facts and clear up all misunderstanding by communications with them, or by persuading them, by giving them facts, by clear up misunderstanding, so resistance to change could be subsided. Next is through participation. So prior to making a change, those opposed can be invited into decision process. That means inviting employees, especially those employees who oppose a change. However, inviting employees to decision making process or to participate in activities, especially decision making, can create a poor solution, can have potential for poor solution, and also great time consumption if the employees have no expertise in the area they were invited to participate into. So the third way to overcome resistance to change is by building supports and commitments. So when managers or employees who have low emotional commitment to change, that means they favor the status quo, they favor their comfort zone, they do not want to change and resist it. So when employees' fear and anxiety are high, so it is important to give the employees or the managers counseling, therapy, new skill trainings, or a short paid leave of absence so that they can clear things up, they can take a rest. This actually may facilitate adjustments. Next is through developing positive relationships. So people are more willing to accept change if they trust the manager. So if the relationship is positive, that means between employees and managers are good. So employees are more willing to accept the change. So if managers are more able to facilitate positive relationship with the employees or subordinates, this could be able to overcome resistance to change by the employees or even among those who ordinarily do not like changes. So this is considered good by having a positive relationship or rapport with the employees. And fifth one is implementing changes fairly. So if the organizations implement the changes in the fair way or in the justice way, it could minimize negative impacts of having change. So procedural fairness, according to the procedural fairness, and when employee perceive the outcome as negative, so they won't want to change. So it is important to show to the employees that the changes, the implementations of the change are being done or are done according to the appropriate way or according to the justice. Then they would easy for the managers or organization to persuade employees to change. Crucial that it is important that employees see the reason for the change and perceive its implementation as consistent and fair. So if employees consider or see that implementation of the change are being done in the fairly on the due process or in the fairly way, so employees will be more likely to accept the change. can be also overcome resistance to change by manipulations by cooptations. So this is maybe not a good way by manipulates the situations or by cooptations. So what is manipulation? We already discussed about this in few previous chapters, but I just want to reiterate here. Manipulation is referred to the covert influence attempt, twisting and distorting facts. So manipulating information by twisting, distorting effects to make this fact appear more attractive. So it's like you manipulate situation, you manipulate the fact so that the fact look more attractive. So and you withholding undesirable information. That means you do not reveal the information that are considered undesirable to the employees. And so in doing manipulations, the managers or anyone can create false rumors to get employees to accept the change. So they just do even though it's not in the good way, in the ethical way, but this actually one of the reasons that could overcome resistance to change. Next is by using cooptations. Cooptation is a form of both manipulations and participations. So it's considered like a buy of the leader of a resistant group. So let's say the leaders are the groups are the leaders of the groups that are resistant to the change. So focusing on the leaders, because if you want to focusing all the members in the group that resist to change is quite difficult. So one of the strategy to overcome resistance to change by go straight to the leader of this resistant group. Try to if you want to use cooptation, you buy off the leaders. Buy off mean it's not directly by using cash or using other means, but using by giving a key role in the change decisions. That means giving them more power in terms of making decisions. So they consider that they will perceive that they have been given more priority, so they may be able to tolerate the request from the organizations to change. So this is one of the strategy is considered is a diplomacy kind of strategy by focusing on the leaders, because the leader will influence the members. So the leaders of the resistant groups, if the managers want to overcome this resistance to change, especially the leaders of the employees, for example, employee unions, whatever that resist to change, go to these leaders, and then if you buy cash, for example, if you give them cash, of course, it's really obvious it's considered as unethical. But by giving them a key role in change decisions, then it would reduce their resistance to change. So this could overcome some of the resistance to change. Both manipulation and cooptations are relatively inexpensive. That means easy. It's not, and also it's not so expensive to gain support. So this tactic, however, can be backfired if the target become aware. That means if the leaders become aware that they are being tricked or used or being manipulated. So this can be backfired using cooptations and using manipulation. 7. How to overcome resistance to change by select the people who accept the change. So maybe in the group there will be some people or some employees who accept the change. So even though the groups are the groups as a general may resist to change, but there will be some one or two members actually accept the change. So research says go to these people who accept the change. So the ability to easily accept and adapt to change is related to personality also. So some may have more positive attitude about change than others. So those who accept the change normally who has this kind of good or positive personality types. So this actually the managers maybe want to go to this person who accept the change, and then persuade them, and maybe they'll be able to persuade the rest of the groups. So evidence also show that organization can facilitate change by selecting people predisposed, that means who are accepting the change or who kind of have a tendency to accept this change, normally based on the personality. It's one way to overcome resistance to change is by using force. Of course, using force is kind of uh, is the last resort that you need to use, because by force normally the change may be not long lasting. So these applications is using direct threats or force on the resistor. That means someone who resists to change using force, like using threat. The example of using a quotient threat of transfer. For example, if you do not want to change, we will transfer you to the remote area or to the place that is that's considered maybe difficult to go, or maybe have little advancement or little development. For example, a loss of promotions, for example, threats of loss of promotions, negative performance evaluation. Maybe during performance evaluation the manager give negative evaluations, and also a poor letter of recommendation. So this can be the example of using force. So the advantage or the drawbacks of quotients are approximately the same as manipulation and cooptation. That means it can be also backfired if the employees who've been forced, or the manager who've been forced realize that it's actually a quotient, a force, or I mean a threat that been used against them. So they will normally backfire. They will counter attacks or rebels against this. Okay, the politics of change, we have to expect that there will be some politics in the organizations, especially regarding the change. So change, because change can threaten the status quo of individual or employees, so making it more related to political activities. So politics suggests that the impetus for change is more likely to come from outside change agents. Normally, the important for change is come from people outside change agents, or employees new to the organization who have less invested in the status quo. So normally those who have problems, who are the key for change, is considered is more likely from outside change agents, or new employees who maybe have less invested, so they didn't stay longer in the organizations to enjoy some status quo. So managers slightly removed from the main power structure, or the manager who just been removed, that's mean depromoted, for example, can also can also have a can use politics when it comes to change. So manager who spend entire career with single organizations and senior in position also can become a major impediment to change, because maybe they are not, because they have quite of high in status quo, because they spend their entire career in one jobs, in one organization. They are also senior, so of course they do not want to lose their status quo or their whatever title. So by but a change can actually give them can threaten their status quo, so they do not want to change. So managers who spend entire career with a single organization and senior in positions normally are the major impediments to change. So change itself is very real threats to the status and positions, but they may be expected to implement the change, even though they are considered as a major impediment to change, because change itself can be a real threat to their status quo or to their status and positions. But sometimes they are the one who are expected to implement the change. That's weird, isn't it? But that's the life in the organizations. Those who are high in positions, who are senior in positions, they actually the one who are considered as the roadblocks to the change, but they actually been given a power to implement the change. That's a kind of normal in to find in the organization. So there are many approaches to managing change. So they are coming up with theories. For example, Levin 3-step theories, Quarter 8-steps theories, action research, and organizational developments. We're going to go one by one in next slides.